Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Kickoff Discussion Podcast. Well, before I move on, please, if you have a friend who is a Chelsea fan, please you have to check on them. It's very, very important because the time is out on them, I would say, because building up to this game, they believe they can perform well the way they did against Man City last season. And when the game started, it wasn't the case. That's not what happened in the game eventually. So if you have his friend, I would say if you have a friend who is a Chelsea fan, please just check on them because time is hard. It's going to be a very, very long season for them. I would say it's going to be a very, very long season. Well, moving on. This video I'll be discussing about tactics and game plan. I'll discuss about the key moments. I'll discuss about individual performances, and I'll drop my opinion about Enzo Maresca and his playing style at Chelsea. Now let's get to it. Well, for me personally, the way Enzo Maresca wants to play, I don't think he has achieved that with this current Chelsea squad, I would say. And if you look at how Manchester City, they break their press and they explore those pieces that was left by Chelsea, I think it will take him a very, very long time for him to establish his structure and his playing style at Chelsea. For me, I think Manchester City, they are just so brilliant, and we know what Pep Guardiola love to do. They love to keep the ball, they love to pass around from one hand to the other. So it gives Chelsea a lot of problem to contain Manchester City and to actually contain the spaces that Manchester City open up in the middle of the park. For me personally, the Mateo Kovacic, like the way he breaks Chelsea's press with his passes, and sometimes he will receive the ball in between four Chelsea players, and with one pass, those players are out of the press already. So I think the way Manchester City are just brilliant with the way they play today because they tilt Chelsea from one end to the other and they open up that midfield quite often and they break their press. They break their press quite often as well. So it's just something that Enzo Maresca and Chelsea need to work on in their next game because if you are playing against Manchester City, you don't give them that enormous space, especially in the middle of the park, because once you give Manchester City power in the midfield, they will hurt you, and that is exactly what happened in that game. Because the way sometimes in the second half you see a situation whereby Lakaji in the second half sometimes you see him play as far as playing as a right back, and that midfield, the midfield is very, very open. There are a lot of big space in that middle of the park where I think the likes of Enzo Fernandez, Moses Caicedo should be occupying, and they should shut down those spaces to prevent Manchester City from exploring. And once Manchester City want to break their press, they tilt them to one side and they open up that midfield, and sometimes you just see Kovacic dropped in between the defense to receive the ball. That midfield is quite big, it's quite open for Manchester City to explore, and you see Bernardo Silva, he will just pop up into that pockets of space, into that big space of the midfield, and he will receive the ball on his back foot and he will advance the ball into the final third with just a single pass. So that gives Chelsea lots of problems, and I think moving on to their next game, I think this is just something they need to be very, very careful of. If they leave that much of space in the middle of the park, any team I say in the Premier League will explore those spaces and they will cause Chelsea the problems. They will cause them lots of problems, and I think the way Enzo Maresca loves to play, I think that wasn't the case on this occasion because they could not perfect his playing style. Because for me, when Enzo Maresca wants to press, they press in a compact shape. When it was at Leicester City, they press in a compact shape, and their counter press is very, very effective. And on this occasion, it wasn't the case, and they leave enormous space in the middle of the park for Manchester City to explore. And if you do that against Man City, Manchester City will kill you, and that's exactly what happened in that game. Moving on to the key moments in the game, for me, that first goal, I think that goal is preventable from my perspective because when Jeremy Doku want to pick its pass, for me, he was trying to pick up Bernardo Silva on the edge of the box, and what Bernardo Silva did, that little touch he had on the ball put out Colwill and Wesley Fofana. He drew for Wesley Fofana out of position because it was very, very tight on Erling Haaland in that position before the pass. And that pass, that simple touch from Bernardo Silva drew Wesley Fofana out of Erling Haaland, and there's nothing Cucurella could do to stop Erling Haaland, because Erling Haaland, once he's on his left foot, is big and he uses his strength against Cucurella. So for me, when I watched his post-match comments, he said last season Sanchez was good against him and he saved some of his shots last season. And when he received the ball, the first thing that comes to his mind is to keep the ball and to take extra touches that required, and that's what he did. So he drew Sanchez out of the goalpost and he was able to chip the ball into the back of the net. So I think that is just quite an instinct, from Erling Haaland on that occasion. And moving on to their second goal, I think the likes of Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez should have done better, because when Fofana cleared the ball out from the danger zone, Mateo Kovacic picks up the ball in the middle of the park, and with simple touch, he slipped through in between Enzo Fernandez and Moses Caicedo, which I think, from my perspective, what Caicedo needs to just do is just foul him, pick up a card if that's the necessary yellow card for me, from my perspective, because it puts Chelsea at risk. And that's exactly what happened in that regard. And Wesley Fofana, as soon as he cleared the ball, I think he should have returned back into position. I think if he returned back into position early, he would have been able to block the shot or disturb Mateo Kovacic from picking out that shot. And for me, Mateo Kovacic, with that goal, it was just a fantastic goal, because how he deceived Roberto Sanchez from knowing where he wants to put the ball was just quite astonishing. I think what Roberto Sanchez was looking at is, he was looking out, he did not know where Mateo Kovacic will put the ball, because when you open up the body, once a player open up the body the way Mateo Kovacic do, he hopes to do two things. Is either he put the ball into the far corner or he puts it into the near post. So he didn't know, he was confused as to where Mateo Kovacic could put the ball, and eventually he didn't guess well. He stretched well, his hands touched the ball, and if he has taken a little step to his right, I think he would have been able to save that ball. And well, for me, it was just a brilliant goal from Mateo Kovacic, because he deceived Sanchez with the way he opened up his body. So as he saw that he did not close down his near post, so he just picked that near post and he shoots into the back of the net. So that was just a fantastic goal from my own perspective. And for me, that performances wasn't good enough from Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez, because for Kovacic to have slipped through both players with just simple touch, I think they should be able to do better in that regard. And I think, for me personally, if Romeo Lavia was in that position, I think he would have been able to block off Mateo Kovacic. That is what I think, and that is what we've seen with him in that game. Throughout the game, he was solid in the midfield, and for me personally, Romeo Lavia was just a solid guy in that midfield for Chelsea. So, well, moving on to individual performances, and I'll start with Romeo Lavia as well. For me, from Chelsea's perspective, I will pick two players that performed well in that game. I think Romeo Lavia was just, he was perfect. For me, if I'm to rate his performance, I will give him a 7 or 7.5 for that performance. He was solid in the middle of the park, because Manchester City they were too good with their tactics and game plan. They were too good, and they opened up that Chelsea's midfield. And I think with what Manchester City did, Romeo Lavia was still up to the task, and he did what he could to stop some attack. He did made important tackles in the middle of the park, and he disrupts Manchester City's attacks most of the time in that game. So as soon as he was substituted off, I think that middle of the park even it became more porous. It became more porous for Manchester City to exploit. And again, the second player that performed well beyond my expectation in that game is I think Colwill Colwill and Wesley Fofana. I think those guys, I think both of them were solid from my own point of view. I think they were solid in that game. And it had been another, if it had been another combination of players in that central defense, I think Chelsea would have considered like four goals today. They would have considered like 4 goals. That is what I think, and that is how crucial their impact was in that game. And for me, those are the players I think performed beyond expectation for me from that Chelsea squad. I'm moving on to Manchester City. Matthew Kovacic, fantastic player for Manchester City. There there been some statistic against Manchester City because when Rodri is not available for them, they tend to lose more games. And on this occasion, it wasn't the case. And Matthew Kovacic actually stepped up to play in that role, and he did that fantastic well against a big club like Chelsea. Impressed, I would say. I'm so impressed about his performance, and he really stepped up to divide that divide that hold against that hold for Manchester City. I mean, so it was a big game for Mateo Kovacic, and he played well in that role for Manchester City. And second player that I think did well was Erling Haaland. The goal he scored is not an easy goal for any striker in the Premier League to score, and the way he used his strengths and power to muzzle Cucurella to get that opening goal. I think not many striker can do that in the Premier League. And now that he has begun, he has opened his account in this league. I think he will still be looking at a very long season for him, a very big season for him as well. And now he has gotten 91 goals in 100 appearances, no competition for Manchester City. And I think this guy is just a goal machine. It's very hard for any central defender to defend against Erling Haaland, especially when you leave him to hold the ball into his pivot left far foot. So I think his performance on this occasion was quite good, especially that goal he scored against Chelsea. And again, another player that was fantastic for me in that game was Jeremy Doku, and he got the best of Malo Gusto on different occasions. The only shortfall in the way Jeremy Doku plays sometimes is whenever he breaks opposition's defense. Sometimes his end product is just not good enough. I think he's too hasty to release the ball. Sometimes you got to slow the game down to pick the right pass, and sometimes when he release the ball, he release the ball too early, and sometimes he does it so late that the opponent will have recovered before he release the ball. And sometimes his end product is just a shortfall for me. But for in this game, it caused Chelsea lots of problems. It caused them a lot of problems. And again, their goalkeeper Ederson, fantastic player. He has been fantastic with his foot over the years, and with his performance again, he dropped another big performance against Chelsea. And he picked his pass, especially his long passes. He picked it perfectly well, and that causes Chelsea lots of problems. Sometimes when Chelsea are trying to press Manchester City, he just tend to pick his players long into the opposition half, and that caused Chelsea lots of problems today. Well, that's what I think about the performances from both teams. And moving on, I'm moving on to my opinion about Enzo Maresca. As I said earlier, Enzo Maresca is going to be a very big season for him, and the kind of player he has at his disposal it will not help matters. It's not helping because the way Enzo Maresca, the way he wants to play, if he had continued with Leicester City, he has established his play style as Leicester City, and he knows his players inside out. He knows the quality they have. He has already given them rules to play in any game they are playing. So and now he's just working his way with this new set of boys with his, because it is a young squad. He's trying to work his way with these players. So I think it will take him a long time for him to establish his playing style and to get the right player to execute his plans, to execute his tactics. So it's going to take him a very, very long time. I would say a very, very long time for him to establish in this Chelsea squad. And right now Chelsea are having around 45 players in that squad, which is not helping, and it will give him lots of players to actually have a solid 11, that will play week in, week out. And for me, sometimes it will be unfair to some players on that team who put in their best in the training throughout the week, and they will be looking to make it into the squad over the weekend. And sometimes if they are not picked, sometimes it will bring down their morale, and they will, you understand, they will not be able to give in their best whenever they are training. I think big squad sometimes causes manager loads of problems. And I think that will be something that will give Enzo Maresca problem on this occasion in this current season. So, but for me personally, it's just the first game. And we still have lots of games to play this season, and we still have a lot of room to improve. So let's just wait and see what he will do in the coming games. And I think if he's able to establish his playing style and he know the right personnel to execute his plan, I think it will be a very, very good season for him. But it's going to be a very, very big season as well. So let's just wait and look at let's look at what he can do. Well, that will be all for this video. Let me know. You can drop your thoughts in the comment section. Let me know what you think about the game and about Enzo Maresca's tactic and game plan, and what he is trying to do as Chelsea, and what you think he should be doing, and the players you think can execute his game plan. But for me personally, the combination of Romeo Lavia and Moses Caicedo in the middle of the park, I think is getting that right. I think those boys are solid. And sometimes, Manchester City are just too big, and they are too good for them to handle on this occasion, and just the first game of the season. And in the middle, in the center of the defense, the likes of Wesley Fofana and Colwill, their combination as well, both boys are solid as well. So Enzo Maresca on this occasion, these two important positions, I think he is beginning to get it right from my own point of view. So I think the likes of Cole Palmer, I think he should just work his way around putting him in his preferred position for him to get the best out of Cole Palmer. So those are just the things that I see with Enzo Maresca. So let me know what you think about the way Enzo Maresca is. I think the way he wants to execute his plan in this season, and what you think he could do, and and the players that you think could execute his plans for him. So I will look forward to your comments and your opinion on that. So that will be all for this video. If you are new, please kindly like, share, subscribe, and if you are already here, please kindly like, share, and comment. Drop your thoughts in the comment section as well to support me. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in another episode, and bye for now.